So this one I added in. It's very interesting because as an American, it's very important to understand your place in the world and how other people view you based on just being American, period. So I don't know if you guys remember, but back when we were withdrawing from Afghanistan, I think like 2 or 3 days before we finally got out, America bombed a house. It was real big news. They bombed like one house like
it was by mistake or something, right? Is that the one that?
Well, they said he was curating a bombing, and they have proof of him bringing bombs into like suspicious areas.
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out, he was a water delivery guy, and the canisters he was carrying were water, and they assumed it was bombs, like stuff to make bombs. Well, that family, I think it killed 6 or 7 children. Does it say in here? They haven't received compensation from the U.S. military, and also no one knows that was a mistake either. Like you kind of knew, but like it's not like we knew. So it's just unfortunate to.
It is unfortunate, man.
Let's see if they say how many kids died. Yeah, this is the house or the area that got bombed. It got drone strike. Like they didn't even try. They just put it there. How many kids were? I'm pretty sure it's like 6 or 7 kids out of the 10 people who died.
If it was one kid, that's too many.
Yeah.
Too many, period.
Well,
and it looks like just a residential area.
The question is that Americans need to ask themselves is, do we need to be the policemen of the world?
We don't need to be, but we kind of put ourselves in that
position. But at the same time, it's like America is always in everybody else's business, and that's why there's a lot of people that don't like America. Because we're making ourselves the bullseye. So, and I really think that we need to sort of stay out of it and, take a back seat and put the money into our local communities. I mean, a typical example that I thought was interesting, but we are not discussing it on the podcast just yet, is the guy that resigned from the Pentagon for the cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, we're putting too much money into the F-35 program and billions of dollars in that, and we're getting left behind on the cybersecurity. So that alone we're making ourselves vulnerable, and I really think that's, is what. And then it becomes a conversation. Well, should he have said it out in public, or should he have said it, behind closed doors? Well, are people going to listen to him if he says it behind closed doors?
No, but the thing is, like, I feel like everybody already knows this. So
they do.
So he was just trying to prove to everybody that at least the government knows about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can't separate the military-industrial complex. That is like U.S. is a corporation country, but the military is a corporation you cannot mess with. It's just
right.
It's locked in. It doesn't even matter. It's there. You can't fix that. You can't change it.
But I do think we need to put more into the cybersecurity for the US.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you.
China is definitely slipping up there, becoming very prominent.
If we was in any type of world war, and God pray that we're not, I mean, the first thing we'd lose is all our utilities and everything that goes with it.
I feel like society is too advanced for World War, right? Because like if you look back to World War II, think about D-Day. If these kids in these boats pulling up to France, were on Twitter, and you had Nazis on the beach, they'd be like, "Hey, please don't shoot us, and we won't shoot you." Cool. Like on some hashtag D-Day type of deal. It will work because a lot of those kids did not want to fight. They were drafted.
Exactly.
And then there's a lot of propaganda that went into it, but I don't think that could happen now. I think, if anything, you have a nuclear fallout where we're just bombing each other. But as far as World War III goes, where we're all fighting on front lines, I think it's very, very unlikely. And plus, I will. Good luck trying to draft me, Mr. Biden. Good luck.
Like, find me. I'm going to go with Brian Laundrie.
Turn into Brian Laundrie real quick.
Exactly. But yeah, nevertheless, man, I don't know. That military piece is that's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Whole different animal, man. For sure.
But I do think we need to get our act together, and it's all about. It's a bit like, to me, it's a bit like buying a Ferrari outside and putting all your money in a Ferrari outside just because everybody sees it and think that that's power and success.
Right.
Oh yeah.
What we should be doing is putting the money in the back end, which is the cyber security, and putting more in that part.
So do you see the U.S. defense, they call it defense, as defense, or do you see it as offense? Because when I played basketball, the coach always said the best defense or the best offense is a good defense.
Right.
So I can't tell if America is going for defense because they're intruding in foreign land. You know what I mean? So is that offense, but they're doing it to protect American assets? So I don't know if it's considered defense. But either way, military complex defense is not. We all know it's all about cybersecurity in today's
because that can shut you down. As we know, earlier last week, Instagram and Facebook was offline for 6-7 hours.
And I feel when that happens, it's countries doing that just to prove a point that we've got you, we can affect you.
I hope that's the case.
Very, very, very well might be the case.
You're not as strong as you think you are.
Right. Very well might be the case.
That's
man.
Honestly what I think it is.
I think, and again, just like capitalist competition, I think competition is good. So when people do that, it's really showing like people like Zuckerberg and all these corporations like, hey, you need to start stepping it up because we know how to do this X, Y, and Z. So you're not as secure as you think you are.
So
that'll make them a better business at the end of the day.
We hope it does.
Because some of these kids, man, they hack this stuff and they're like, man, it was so easy to get in. Like, bro, you're not. It's not as watertight as you thought it was. So, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, because like with hacking, you can figure out like 1,000 ways to hack something, and all the company has to do is block that one way. But as soon as you find that new way, like all the other 999 ways are thrown out the door because that one new way works.
Exactly.
So hacking will always be a thing. And there's some guy I follow on Twitter, and he was saying he was just spitting out of his butt, but he was saying that we should take some of that money from the industrial complex and just pay kids to like hack the U.S. network.
I don't disagree.
Over and over, and then whoever wins gets or whoever does it gets a bonus, and then explains like how they did it, and so then the government can take that information.
But the Pentagon employs hackers.
They say they do.
They don't. It's not the same. So there's a guy by the name of Frank Abagnale, Abagnale.
I see him. Yep.
You ever heard of that name? Tom Hanks did a movie about this guy. Frank Abagnale is a convicted felon who went to work for us in the country. This guy infiltrated all types of. This guy was the attorney general in the DA in Louisiana. He was a pilot for Pan American Airlines. He was flew all over the country illegally as a pilot. Never actually he was a chief resident in a hospital. No doctor's license, no nothing at all. Came from a fairly affluent family. But he had a photographic memory. So super, super smart. And he always had, as you can see in the picture, always had kind of that whitish, grayish hair. So he looked older than he actually was. And this guy, he tells the story. Catch Me If You Can, of course, once you get Hollywood involved, they glamorize it or whatever. But I've heard the story of him telling it. He was an opportunist, so he would just take and go in. He would forge checks, and he literally was so good at it. When they finally caught him, the FBI, I think it was the FBI, they hired him to come in to show. I want to say he didn't do more than 10 years in prison. But man, he was just amazing at what he did. And they hired him. They hired him to come in to show what he did, how he was able to spot the forgeries and all the little behind the scenes kind of stuff that he did. So to your point, Jack, I think it would definitely be worthwhile. You probably wouldn't even have to pay them kids a whole lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
But hey, we'll buy you some Bitcoin. How about that?
Dude,
they'd be like,
that's a year's salary right there, too.
Exactly.
So you just send those kids. And you have information to that Bitcoin. You can track it. saying, but-
Exactly.